Everything the Republicans did, they had everything. They had Congress, they had the Senate, they had the American public behind them. And this is why I warn about what the Daily Wire crowd is usually arguing for. They're usually arguing, we need more government. We need a Republican House. We need a Republican Senate. We need a Republican president. We need all these Republicans to come back into power, just like they did on 9/11. Oh, wait, hold on 1 second there. What did they do with that opportunity? They had a seat at the table. They could do whatever they wanted to do with the Republicans were there. They were in charge. What did they do? We continued on with destroying more civil liberties in this country, spying on every single communication that Americans had between each other, looking at every single email, every single text message, to the point where even NSA workers were caught spanking the monkey to people's private text messages that they were sending as a couple. This was a mainline corporate news story. I actually ended up confronting General Hayden, the head of previously the CIA, the head of the NSA at the time, and asking him point blank, right to his face, why are you spying on the American people? Why are you looking at every single one of their moves? Why are your agents spanking it to people's private text messages and photos that they're sending to each other? The son of a gun looked me straight in the eyes, lied through his teeth, lied to Congress, and was never held accountable for those lies. Look at all the Republicans right now that are facing contempt of Congress charges. Look at all the Republicans right now that are being sent to jail for lying to Congress. General Hayden lied to the American people right to their face, and they got away with it like it was nothing, like it wasn't even a problem. And then Edward Snowden came out many years afterwards. Clint?
I was just going to add that the people who told you that truth, the only reason you know that you were lied to by the government officials in terms of the spying apparatus that was rolled out, that was allegedly to be used against foreign threats, that was immediately turned and utilized against the American people. The only people that were punished for those disclosures were the whistleblowers. Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, both need to be liberated as soon as possible. Obviously, Julian in particular, who is being drained of his life force as we speak. It is a tragedy. These are both heroes. I would call them American heroes, even if Julian wasn't born in America. It truly is one of the most egregious threats against our rights, on top of the Patriot Act, which is already stripping us of almost any level of privacy at all. But now you have journalists that are being persecuted to the end of the earth for telling the truth. None of his disclosures have been proven to be false. It is a tragedy what's happening.
But even before Edward Snowden, even before Julian Assange, we knew. We were like, hey, something's fishy. Something's weird is going on here. We're being absolutely lied to. They are violating the Constitution, violating the Fourth Amendment, and even going beyond that, torturing people. And there was arguments, there was mainline pundits, there was politicians, there was TV shows saying, no, torture is great. We need to torture to keep you safe. We need to take whoever we want, when we want, off of the face of this earth and bring them to a enhanced interrogation camp in Egypt or in Guantanamo Bay or anywhere else. They had secret CIA black sites that they took random individuals and used ungodly, horrific things that we can't even mention here. We're talking about small children being placed in front of their parents and hurt in unspeakable ways with your tax dollars, all in the name of keeping you safe, as we found out that it was literally farmers next to other farmers in Afghanistan that wanted their land or had a dispute or had an argument that said, hey, this guy's Taliban. The U.S. government said, yeah, let's take him, let's torture him. And there were some individuals, again, that were bad, that were tortured, sure. But there was also a lot of innocent human beings that were taken away. I actually met one of them. I interviewed one of them. I heard his stories, and they were absolutely horrific. Well, I keep messing up his name. Mahaj? What's his name?
Oh, Majid Nawaz.
Majid Nawaz is one of those individuals. I'm talking about another individual that I personally met even before that a couple years ago. But his story about what he went through and the levels of enhanced interrogation
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the journalist. He was basically he was radicalized. He became a
Yes.
terrorist, and then he had some sort of revelation as to how his mind had been warped. So he now speaks out against radicalization, but he sees it within Democrats primarily, which is a fascinating. So I don't know if you're talking about the same person.
Yes, we're talking about the same exact person. As there was, radicalized individuals that were taken, and they were the pictures that came out of these enhanced interrogations were absolutely horrific. They were against the rule of law. They violated the Geneva Convention, but more importantly, it was just cruel and unusual punishment that many people knew didn't work. They knew if you torture someone, they're just going to say what you want them to tell you instead of actually getting any legitimate information from them. So why did the U.S. government openly torture people, brag about it, and try to defend it as another way of just showing people, hey, this is who we are. We're above the law. We get to do whatever we want to the people. And the legacy of the torture that happened here has laid the groundwork for the U.S. government to abuse its fellow citizens as much as they are right now. Clint, you wanted to make that point.
Yeah, that's just, I wanted to once again draw the connection between the Patriot Act, the conservatives that supported it, and now the very treatment, the very techniques that are being utilized, the lack of due process, the very Guantanamo style, abuse that the J6ers are receiving, the lack of speedy trial. It's horrific. But this is all predicated off of the prior allowance of these really egregious violations of our rights. So got to shut down Guantanamo, or at least put the governors in there, one or the other.
Well, again, Clint, what are you doing? You son of a... No. Whatever Clint said.
That was a joke.
Gosh. Okay. But the first point you made was right on the money, because everything the Republicans did after 9/11 has laid the groundwork to why we're dealing with such horrendous and... Hold on. We got Richard Gage, who's going to be calling in just a few seconds right now. He wants to do a test. Let me just message them. Text now. Go live at 2. So 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have in 9 minutes Richard Gage. Now, it looks like we do have his confirmation. But everything the Republicans did, they had everything. They had Congress. They had the Senate. They had the American public behind them. And this is why I warn about what the Daily Wire crowd is usually arguing for. They're usually arguing, we need more government. We need a Republican House. We need a Republican Senate. We need a Republican president. We need all these Republicans to come back into power, just like they did on 9/11. Oh, wait, hold on 1 second there. What did they do with that opportunity? They had a seat at the table. They could do whatever they wanted to do with the Republicans were there. They were in charge. What did they do? They absolutely ruined and destroyed this country from the inside. They tortured people. They destroyed the Constitution. They spied on the American citizens. They wasted our economy on overseas adventures that only enriched individuals like Dick Cheney from Halliburton, while bankrupting this country and creating a financial crisis that we are still not able to get out of, as of course we had the 2007-2008 financial crisis that was spurred on by many poor financial decisions, as well as just crazy government spending on all these foreign wars that were absolutely pointless and only created more terrorism, which they allegedly thought was going to be fighting and stopping them. In reality, the wars were deliberate actions to continue this larger psyop, this larger con game against the American people that screwed them over, that lied to them, and created more of the same problems that they promised to originally stop. Again, it was a con game. They screwed us over. George W. Bush, I would say, within the last few years, was the worst president of the United States. Worse off than Joe Biden. Joe Biden is giving him a run for his money. But if you look at the larger impact, the larger destruction of the American economy, of our civil liberties, of our Constitution, it is absolutely the Republicans that did way more damage than almost any other presidential group, any other president out there, any other political party out there. And this is why I think we need to remember this history, especially right now, as many people expect Republicans to gain more power in the presidency for this upcoming 2024 presidential election. And then after that, what did we get? We got a strong resurgence of leftist ideas, of leftist ideology that became more prominent, that became more popular than ever, as of course then the American public was asking for Mr. Obama, who came out on the national stage and said, we're going to stop all the wars. We're going to stop torturing people. We're going to make sure that the government doesn't spy on you. We're going to shut down Gitmo. We're going to stop all these foreign conflicts that do not help the American people. And then he became president of the United States and did the exact opposite of that and continued all the horrible policies that have wrecked and destroyed this country from inside and out. And I would say, I don't know if you agree with me or not, Clint, but if it wasn't for the horrible presidency of George W. Bush, the Democrats wouldn't be as prominent, wouldn't be as powerful as they are right now.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And what's really tragic about it is that it was the Democrat Party that believed in free speech rights. They opposed the censorship apparatus. They opposed the war. At least many of the activists that I knew, they were really concerned about the trajectory of things. They have now, thanks to Barack Obama's presidency and George Bush's presidency, which broke their brains, and then Donald Trump's presidency, which broke their brains to oblivion, they are now completely on the other side of it, where they think that you have to have censorship. You can never have a discussion without knowing the truth in advance, as if that's some sort of scientific process whatsoever. They believe in censorship. They believe in war. They believe in intervention. They're basically been, psyoped into becoming neoconservatives themselves. That same flag you referenced earlier, where you have the American flag and, stand with America and never forget 9/11, all that stuff. Well, now it's the Ukraine flag that has replaced it on the back of their vehicles.
And the mask. And
yes.
the blue little mask that, of course, all of them wear